It did.
Have we
It
actually
actually
started?
did. Yes. Yes, we've started, Jim.
Okay.
So game number two, Toronto Esports up 1 games to 0. And the first ban out, unsurprisingly, is going to be the Muriel from Prets.
At least they're changing it up, forcing Toronto onto something else here in that duo lane, which I do like. I felt like they did lose pretty badly in that duo lane in the early stages of the game against the Sinks Muriel combination. And changing it up really does favor the side of Prets.
And meanwhile, Toronto Esports take out the Rampage. So it's also a hero that they played in the last match and one that they're unwilling to give to Prets. But what that does leave in the draft is the Sevarog.
It does leave Sevrog Prets. I would be surprised if they don't go for that Sevrog. It's pretty much a must pick here. It's such a strong character, can be played in multiple positions. And also, Faye is open, so they might choose to go for the Faye over the Sevrog, but I still favor the Sevrog personally.
I think a lot of teams would. It's definitely extremely strong in the offlane. Shout out to Talk Daddy who was showing me the wonders of it yesterday. But actually, Prets are gonna go with the Zinks here.
I mean, I do like it. It does leave open the Sevrog, which I'm not too happy about. But overall, it does take away the Zinks from the Toronto. So they don't get this Muriel Zinks lane that they played in the last game. They're now forced into something completely different. The other support, the strong support of Muriel, has been taken away from them. But as we can see here, Sevrog has been left open. And Toronto are very quick to pick that up.
Yeah, it's not really a surprise when Sevrog is left through the first couple bans and through the first pick. It is pretty obvious that a team are going to go for it. And when Toronto Esports got everything that they wanted in the last draft, it's pretty obvious that if a Sevrog's left him, they're going to go for it. It's one of Blood Maurice's favorite heroes, and he's definitely strong out of the jungle with him, although it probably, well, it may not even be Blood Maurice on the Sevrog. They could just put it in the off lane.
Well, considering they've now picked this Quang up here, I do think it will be Blood's Sevrog. We haven't seen that for a while because Sevrog did fall slightly out of favor for a while. A couple patches back, you saw a lot more Rampages and Richters for a while in scrims and in play. But now with the changes, he's still good in the jungle. The only downside is he is a bit slower on the stacks. Subjugate with Colossal Blow, it's one of the best initiation ganks a jungler can really hope for.
And meanwhile, for Pretz, they've managed to pick themselves up the Fae. It's been a hero that a lot of teams are favoring now in version 44.3, and it's definitely one of the better casters that you can put in the mid lane. I'm pretty happy to see the Fae back in the meta. I think that it's a hero that we just hadn't really seen for a while, or if it was picked up, it did pretty badly. So I'm happy that Pretz are giving it a chance here.
Yeah, it's very strong here. I do like the fact that they're changing up their overall composition as well. This is what we needed. So they've managed to get the Fae very good against a lot of the melee heavy compositions, get that fly trap out there, pull away a lot of these bruises from your team, a lot of slow capabilities as well. I'd like to see how it does play out against this Toronto lineup, though. This Grim and Wraith is going to be brutal to deal with.
Yeah, two heavy damage dealing heroes picked up for Toronto Esports and a Wraith pickup. That's something that, with the change to his mid-air sniping, I think that Mikey's pretty happy about that. I think he would love to get his hands on the Wraith and show us those 360 no scopes.
It's not even that. The fact that you got like little ledges that you want to be jumping while you're chasing, you want to use your knock knock as soon as it comes off cooldown. If you're in midair as it comes off cooldown, you now have the ability to just use it. So the mid lane, little ledges, the ledges around Fangtooth and some of the lanes is very useful to do that while you're running and chasing. So you have to do that. You don't end up losing sort of momentum as well, which is brilliant.
I have a question for you. Do you think that Greystone seems Russian?
Uh, I don't know if there's a good answer to that question, really, but I don't know.
I feel like he's Russian. You know, in another life, he could be Russian. In any case, Greystone and Wukong are going to complete the Pretz lineup. And, well, they definitely did change it up here. But the question is it going to work against Toronto Esports with the Lieutenant Belka being the last pickup here, who I still have... I mean, it seems like it's going to be Belka in the mid lane, but then where do you put Grim and Wraith? That's kind of strange. We'll see what Toronto Esports expect to do with this lineup. I'm just wanting to get into the game at this point. It's such an interesting draft from both sides. Let's start the game in 3, 2, 1, go. It is my honor and privilege to bring you guys game number 2 of this best of 3 semifinal between Toronto Esports and Prets. We'll go ahead and introduce our heroes for Prets. We've got Strong Estet playing the Zinx. Ronnie Tube will be playing a Revenant. Brainy, I think he's Russian, but he is a Greystone. We've got Recursio, who'll be handling the Fae in the mid lane. And then finally Spasibo, it looks like he's taking Wukong into the jungle.
Yeah, and on the side of Toronto, we have Undead Pilot on this Bellica, Marty River playing Support Wraith, Mikey on this Grim carry, Blood Mortis on the Sevarog jungle, and Karma on this Quang. So interesting to see this heavy poke duo lane here coming out from Marty and Mikey. It's going to play similar to the Zinc sort of Muriel with the heavy poke, but they don't have the tankiness as they did before.
And you start to see some of the side preferences of the teams here. When you are on that weak side jungle duo side, it can be difficult sometimes against the ganks. You want to pick up the wards as fast as possible, but now you have a Wraith. So not only can you put out wards very easily, but the wards can't be taken out either. So it makes Wraith pretty strong on this side of the map.
Yeah, you do get the knock-knock ability as well. Really great poking capabilities. And as you're mentioning, that ward is going to be invaluable. It does save a lot of gold for the support. It isn't forced to potentially use a lot of it on consumable 300 golds and can put it into more attribute points, which can give him a bit more power as well.
We'll see how it goes. Meanwhile, there is a lot of early harass on pretty much every single lane, and Karma gets Brainy within inches of his life there. One more hit would have done it. Greystone already under a lot of pressure in the 1v1.
Yeah, the one issue I have here with Prets' overall lineup is their engage is 100% reliant on Recusio with this fly trap on Faye, and if he isn't able to get it, or if he ends up falling behind with the gank, as we can see, this could be very rough.
Yep, the first blood taken by an early rotation from Blood Mortis, working with that green buff, and immediately he goes over towards the 1v1. Strong Estet nearly wanders into him, but he just puts down the ward in time to catch Blood Mortis creeping his way over there. Meanwhile, Karma, he's taken down Brainy 23 in the off lane. So again, Greystone's just having such a difficult time here.
Yeah, Greystone's very, very weak right now, especially in the 1v1 lane. Hasn't got the best sustain. Against a double melee, that passive of his gets procced very easily with just a couple of autos every second here from Karma. So it's rough, especially without level 5, especially without that extra health bar to keep him alive. And we can see Karma taking full advantage of it and going very aggressive onto Brainy.
Yep, getting pretty aggressive. Now, Blood Warriors did go over for the buff, got pushed even closer to it by the Wukong, says thank you very much, I'll just take that. And maybe tries to put some pressure onto the Fae here. He gets her with the Subjugate, and the Seismic Assault through the wall for Undead Pilot. Can they actually get this kill? Green buff is not there any longer for Blood, so the Fae will stay alive for now, but what a close call for her.
Yeah, the same thing we said for Karma going on Brainy. He's again nearly been pushed out of lane. This is very, very rough, and Blood is recognizing this. Subjugate does miss, so he does actually manage to escape this gank from Blood Mortis, but still not looking great for him.
Back it up on the Strong Estet. He's already quite low, and the combo of Marty and Mikey will take down the enemy Zinx. Displacement Shaft slightly off the mark from Mikey. They just have so much long-range engage potential for Toronto Esports on this duo that it's so difficult for Prets to get anywhere close to them.
Yeah, it's again a heavy poke lane. It really does need some intervention coming up. But with a Wukong jungle, he is really sort of weak in the early stages. He really does want to farm up, and that really doesn't work in the favor of Prets. And he hasn't been able to really get any decent ganks here, and he's just going to get sent back here from Marty every single time he wants to go for a gank.
And Wukong has a good amount of ways to continue to get into the fight, but when he's already used those and then you have the back it up on top of him after that, it's difficult for him really to have too much of an effect. So we'll see. Mikey may be a little bit caught out here, taking some damage from Ronnie, and Marty's not really able to help out at all. He'll continue to send out the Wukong, but that doesn't really help his carry stay alive, so Toronto Esports will take a death on the 2v2.
Yeah, this is the thing. This lane is heavy poke, but there isn't as much defense as they had before. There's no Muriel providing shields. The hard CC they have is fairly limited to that back it up, which only hits the one guy, and we can see when that spell shield has been expended on Mikey, he ends up just falling very quickly.
Might be thinking about going for Marty as well. Wukong coming in from the side. Can Spasibo get there in time? He wants to go underneath the tower. He's going to continue to go for it as well. Just needs to get that stun out, and Spasibo is going to be back it up to safety. A little bit of a missed timing there, but Mikey still wants to get some things done. On pretty low health, waiting for some help from his team. Undead Pilot will come around the side. Can he pick up the Wukong? He's pretty full on mana, and yeah, the Seismic Assault comes in just a bit too late. The Cloudwalker going to go out to get him out of trouble.
We're seeing much better play this game coming out from Prets. They're able to get a couple of kills here in this dual lane, which they weren't able to before in the previous game, which is really going to be helping them out. However, we are seeing a very big discrepancy in farm. If we're just looking at the overall farm, they are about 50 farm difference already. Toronto very far ahead here, doing incredibly well, being able to keep up with their farming while putting out all this pressure.
Yeah, it's a very good early game economy for Toronto Esports, resulting in about a 4K gold lead for them just 6 minutes in. So they're already got things going their way. They're also continuing to keep the pressure up on the map. Bloodmore is just going slightly onto the other side of the map. He sees that ward of his down, and eventually he notices that there are two heroes farming up inside that jungle. Karma, though, he's just been unchained in this off lane. He's been putting the hurt on the Greystone ever since the beginning of the game. Rarely needed help from Blood Mortius, and he's been really taking this 1v1 lane by storm.
Yeah, he's over 20 farm ahead just in that lane alone, and he's been able to take this green buff pretty much on spawn, and Brainy hasn't really been able to do much about it. You can even see now there's a 2-level difference as well. Karma's sitting at level 7, Brainy just hitting level 6 now.
He's just so far ahead here. Also, I just noticed another reason why Wraith might be favored on that side of the lane. It's that you can snipe the gold buff from behind. That might also lead to Sparrow, you know, taking a couple more picks on this side of the map if the map geometry continues to stay the way it is. Now Brainy will get his first Reforged forced out here, and Undead Pilot wants to continue to try to go for him. Void Drone is down. Seismic Assault into Void Bomb. That will be his brains blown out all across the river. That's pretty unsanitary if you ask me, but Undead Pilot will be taking that kill. Now Blood Morris, he's chasing after the monkey. He's chasing after the cat lady as well. He's just all against the animal. Somebody call the ASPCA because Blood Morris is coming for him.
Yeah, that is looking
like
a
no. That's ridiculous. Alright, GTFO is going to find the monkey as well. They take both kills in that lane, and that should result in a tier 1 tower. There's also going to be one in the right lane as well.
Very, very strong play from Toronto. I mean, they are now 7-2 on the board. I mean, doing very, very well, and I'm not surprised that they have, again, no real need to force this Fangtooth. They can carry on using this advantage they've been building, and it's about a 7k lead in gold, a couple kills extra on the board, and a very huge number of farms still. 50-odd farm difference here, still in favor of Toronto Esports.
Yeah, Toronto not really giving Prets away into this game at all. Really punishing them for these picks as well, punishing the fact that Monkey was forced to be out on the map and he really couldn't be. So now he's fallen behind the jungler. It seems like every single lane has just gone down the drain for Prets here.
Yeah, it really has. They did show a few signs of life when they managed to get a couple of kills in that dual lane, but Toronto is still doing very strong. If we're just looking at several stats, he's sitting at 26. It is a little bit slower, as I mentioned, in this jungle. However, is still able to put out a lot of damage overall.
Yeah, there's so much damage across the map, really. Every single lane coming up roses for Toronto Esports, and it might be time for the mid lane to go down as well. Mikey going forward. Recursio, he's just forced to sit and hide in the shadow plane here. Maybe looking for an ultimate. Is at level 7. Starts with some damage on the Mikey, who's just going to reward it with the displacement blast. Just throwing a bunch of damage out there. Meanwhile, over to the side, Brainy's currently fighting against Blood Maurice, who's more than happy to go up against the Greystone. Double seismic assault from Undead Pilot on the other side of the fight, and the back it up goes out onto Ronnie, making sure that he's not able to get off of Reckoning and stop Undead Pilot in his tracks. Nice little disengage from Blood Maurice and the rest of Toronto Esports, but they might want to go in here. GTF on to Brainy. They're going to go right on in. Karma gets the Fury of the Heavens as well. Colossal Blow missed from Blood Maurice, but it might not even matter. Ronnie 2 versus Mikey, and Mikey's definitely winning that battle. Triple ult from Faye, but it's just too little too late. She's not able to do anything here, and Marty continues to look for the back-it-ups.
Yeah, Recusio is way too far behind here in this mid lane matchup, and I mean, it's looking rough. I mean, what can he realistically do? The fly trap was a little bit too late, and their whole team comp is pretty much reliant on that fly trap being used at the right time. They don't really have any other great form of engage apart from Greystone and Wukong basically just running in and hitting them for auto attacks, and that isn't a great setup for the team.
Kill Fangtooth.
They killed Fangtooth.
They did it. Pretty easy take for Toronto Esports. They take the mid tower, they take the fight as well, and they also kill that big Hulk figure on the left side of the map in the Fangtooth. So early on, they get started with the buffs, and that'll make their push for an OP and the end of the game much quicker.
Yeah, it does give them that 5k gold. I believe it was their first. Yeah, it was the first Fangtooth of the game.
It was.
And that is going to be very helpful for Toronto. I'm going to be interested to see what they can do with that.
Well, the answer is probably quite a bit. I mean, Fangtooth is generally one of the objectives that leads to teams doing extremely well in the game, and it's not like Toronto Esports have been behind it all here. They've definitely been putting the pressure on the Prets the whole time. Now Mario Rivia looking for possibly some pressure on the Ronnie Tube. He went in a pretty aggressive manner there. Now you see Zinx over to the side. She has to be careful when she goes for those D-wards. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Spasibo trying to set up the pressure on the Undead. There's the ultimate by the Fae, but Undead Pilot went forward, not backwards, and he's managing to evade mostly everything here. Seismic Assault is down. Can Recursio get the damage that he needs? Severog is coming on from the side. Undead Pilot into the wall, pushed there by Spasibo, but another beautiful Seismic Assault is going to keep Undead Pilot alive and out of danger. He goes to the high ground. He will fall. Now Blood Maurice has to try to figure out where the rest of his team wants to go. There's 4 members of Prets here on the mid lane. Blood Maurice goes down to the lower ground. He's going to continue to go for Ronnie Tube. Ronnie has to be careful. Again, pushed away by Spasibo, but they're going to go run in with the Fury of the Heavens. Ronnie Tube taken out. Blood Maurice once more. He wants Monkey Blood now, and Blood Maurice is going to continue to chase it. Recursio tries to get in on the back lines, and Mikey and Marty, they're going to meet Monkey with quite a bit of damage as well. Now Blood gets another Colossal Blow out onto the Fae, putting her into a lot of danger. GTFO, get out of my game, Fae. They're going to get the Fae as well, and it's another beautiful fight for Toronto Esports.
Meanwhile, on my screen, I can just see a box Bellica running around. A boxed up Undead Pilot was running around during that fight, and it was fairly amusing. I haven't seen that in a while since that Grux bug we saw a couple months back.
They may as well rename Paragon Box. Just call it Box and be done with it. Still Undead Pilot sitting underneath a ward with that Shadow Plane buff, trying to make strong S-Tet. Fear for his life a little bit more here. Not really been too effective as those things. We've seen some great Zings play here in PCL EU number 5, and here comes Blood Maurice around the side, ready to go for Mr. Monkey Man. I don't know if that was a miss on the Colossal Blow, but if it did, it makes a lot of sense for Toronto Esports to just back out of it, get some wards down, and continue to keep the pressure on in every single lane here. They're not going to let down anytime soon.
They're just looking to take as many resources away here from the side of Prets, and then just set up the next Fangtooth as it spawns.
Oh, Displacement Blast on the strong S-Tet, and that's just going to lead to a blown up Zinx again. Just not really being too effective at all this game. They'll get the green buff, and Karma continues to push in on the right lane. Fangtooth is up. Kill Fangtooth. Toronto Esports continue to get every single advantage they can in this game.
Yeah, they've been doing incredibly well. Prets haven't really been able to show many signs of life apart from those first couple of kills in the early stages. Since then, it has been pretty much all downhill. Toronto completely dominating the board, and there's not much they can do.
All right, now it's 3 heroes versus Quang. Is it going to be enough? 4 heroes versus Quang. He's going to get surrounded by everybody. He's going to get stunned up again by the Zings. Karma in some trouble. He puts down the sword, but it's too little, too late. The rest of his team, they're just going to let Karma die once again. I like that about Toronto. They're not going to put themselves in a bad situation. They're just going to give up the hero, say, you know what, we have more than enough an advantage here, and they continue to keep it rolling, even if they do lose 1 or 2 heroes along the way.
Yeah, it does give him a slight increase in gold. He did have a kill on there, so slight increased bounty, but overall not going to be enough to realistically claw back Prets in any way. It does slow down Toronto's approach. They have to be a little bit more passive while they wait for Karma to respawn and get back onto the field.
Yeah, they need to get their gold up as well. Looks like we do have a couple of replay bugs here, so we'll work to get those away for you guys. But still, I don't think that even when we fix this that we're going to see too much of a change in the gold. It still looks like Prets are just very far behind here.
Yeah, they are. It is sitting at about 25k gold deficit. The Prets do have a ward on this prime, but however, it will be swiftly cleared out here from side of Toronto, and it does look like they're setting up for a pre-20-minute prime, 15 minutes into this game.
Yeah, there's a word here. They were going to go for the bait, but when they decide there was nothing being baited, it's just time to go and get that guy down, get that buff on their side, and look how fast they're taking it down. Brainy gets on in, but there's nothing for him to take, and in fact, it might be another death for him as well. The subjugate right on top of his head is going to force out the Reforge. Now, Bloodmore is looking for a little bit more, will be pushed out by Spasibo, and it's really not going to halt them at all. They take down the Greystone, and they can continue to look for more as they have the buff on their side, and a lot of minions walking as well. The waves aren't really too much of a problem for them at all, so they'll look for the buff, see if they're up, but they're going to continue this push down the mid lane, maybe even looking for the inhib right here.
Yeah, meanwhile, you're seeing those GTFOs and knock-knocks always coming out, just poking down the side of Prets before they even fought under this inhibitor.
They're going to keep on walking in. Bloodmore is looking for that initiation once again. Nice ricochet stun from Strongest Tech, getting a nice amount of CC there, but again, it's just not going to be enough at all. Ronnie Tube and Strongest Tech just chasing for anything they can find, but the inhib's nearly dead, and Spasibo, he's supposed to be tanky, but he's not at all. The monkey is going to fall. Reckoning used by the Revenant, but it's going to be his own Reckoning as Mikey is more than up to that challenge. Killing the inhib, taking down Brainy, and Toronto Esports setting themselves up quite well for a bout with no names in the grand final.
Yeah, they are. They're going to go for the clean execution here. They're going to try to take down all the inhibitors along the way. We can see Karma pushing down one lane while the other 4 are pushing down another, and it is looking like they want to have a very, very clean finish. Make it very hard, near impossible for Prets to do anything right now.
It's all about the mistakes. Prets makes a couple too many. Toronto Esports, they make a couple mistakes, but very few. And that's eventually going to be the victory there. Wow. They're not even stopping at all. We still have Mikey trying to go for a couple of kills all by himself. The rest of the team has already left, and he continues to be aggressive here on the Wraith, looking for those snipes. Marty just being a bit of a nuisance all on his lonesome there. Mikey has gone to the other lane as the Grim. And Toronto Esports, they have so much control over the entire map. Now the question is, what is going to happen against No Names? Because these are two teams that, you know, the players know each other quite well. And I think they're both up to the challenge to try to beat each other in the grand final.
Yeah, they have been. There's been some very interesting scrim results between the two teams. They've been doing a lot of different strategies, and a lot of the matches have come out in pre-20 minutes, even amongst them. Very high snowball style games and very aggressive matchups, so it's going to be very, very fun to watch.
It is going to be quite entertaining, and ladies and gentlemen, we will have that up for you guys in a little bit as we wait for the conclusion of this game. Recursio just getting taken down by Undead Pilot. Their brains blown out all across the rest of Paragon, and that is going to be all she wrote for Prets. They will be delegated to 3rd or 4th place. We do have the 3rd place match a little bit later, but Toronto Esports, unsurprisingly, will take the victory here in the best of 3 semifinal.
Yeah, very strong play from them. Congratulations on Toronto. They have made it to the PCL EU finals, and they're going to be up against No Names shortly.
Indeed, they will. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking with us all this time. We will have that grand final matchup between our two juggernauts of teams here in just a bit, but make sure that you don't forget to follow us on the Twitters, on the YouTubes, and follow me. Don't follow me. That would be creepy. I might have to report you for that. But make sure you check us out on all the socials. Thank you for watching PCL EU number 5. You guys have been amazing. And we hope that you'll stick around for the final match of the day. It's going to be the grand final between No Names and Toronto Esports.